Do you struggle to understand IEP progress monitoring and whether or not your child is really making progress on their IEP? Or are you struggling with the eye test as far as like, it doesn't look like my kid's making progress, but I don't know how to demonstrate on paper if he is or not? Let's take care of that today. I'm Lisa Leitner. I am a special education advocate and author of Your IEP Playbook. Please look for it wherever books are sold. You can also find more information at adayinourshoes.com, and I will put the link down below. So let's talk about IEP progress monitoring. In IDEA, it is defined as you should be receiving progress monitoring reports. It says something like at least concurrent with report cards. So that doesn't mean only concurrent with report cards. It is the default setting for most schools, I've found over the years, that yes, the only time you receive progress monitoring report is concurrent with report cards. Again, IDEA does not say only with report cards. So if my child was having a significant increase in behaviors, or if I had a child who was significantly behind his age peers in reading, and due to lack of instruction or something like that, lack of meaningful instruction, I would definitely be asking for more than, 3 times a year, because I think most schools nowadays give 3 report cards a year. And I don't want to wait a whole marking period or two to discover that my child still isn't making reading progress, or this reading intervention isn't working, or behaviors are increasing, right? If it's a significant behavior issue and school refusal and things like that, like, no, you need to be on top of that stuff and check in like every 2 weeks, not just concurrent with report cards. So anyway, you can look that up, but it does not say only concurrent with report cards. And one of the main tenets of IDEA is that individualized piece. So if your child needs more, that's what's appropriate for them. Okay, the other piece is the progress monitoring reports. A lot of parents don't understand them. They get them and it just seems like a bunch of numbers and gobbledygook that they just can't understand. You have a couple of options here. One is that the school district is required to provide you with someone who can help you understand this. So when it comes to test results and things like that and progress monitoring results, they're required to provide you with someone who can explain this to you. I find that parents don't want to ask for that help because they don't want to appear vulnerable. And I have 2 things to say about that. One is, give yourself a break. Like, this is their job, like a school psychologist's job, and what they went to college and most often grad school to do is to learn how to administer these assessments and interpret them. Like, this is what they do all day, every day. They can't walk into your workplace and just know what to do on day one. So I don't know why you're holding yourself to that same standard of expecting yourself to know exactly how to do their job when you've never done it before. There's no shame in asking for help. The other thing is that they go, well, you feel like you're like showing your hand. Like, if I ask for help, then they're going to know that I don't know this. Honey, they already know. They know you don't know this. Like, they can tell by the way you talk. They can tell by the way you react to some of the information in the report. Some of the information in the report should probably be astounding. And when you're just like glazed over it and no emotional reaction whatsoever, they can tell you don't know what it is, or what that result means, what that number means, what that report means. They know that we don't know this stuff. You're not hiding anything from them. Like, well, if I don't ask for help, I won't appear vulnerable. They know you're vulnerable. They know you don't know this. It's just life. Like I said, this is not your full-time job. It's their full-time job. And So ask for someone for help. The other option that you have is that you can always go, if your budget permits, to an independent assessor. You can go to an independent, I'm talking about like these IEE providers. I'm not talking about getting a full on IEE, but you could ask someone like, hey, can I do a consult with you and bring in this school report and can you explain it to me? If you have the means to do it and it makes you more comfortable to have an impartial third party explaining this to you, you can do that. Of course, again, it's going to cost you some money. Um, it's probably going to be a couple $100 here and there for an hour or two with an expert like that. But it is an option for some families, and it makes some families more comfortable. There are also some programs, and this is going to take a bit of research on your part, depending on where you live. I do know of colleges, college programs, master's level programs, PhD programs, where they are either training the students, teaching the students to do all this stuff, become educational psychologists, become school psychologists. And sometimes they will do a low or no cost assessment or consult with you. Temple used to do them around here. I'm not sure if they still do. I haven't heard about it in a couple of years, to be honest, but they did used to have a program. So that might be, again, something for you to look up. Now, let's get to part 2, which is, okay, you've got these progress monitoring reports. Like, how do you make sense of them? You have to become the expert in your child and what works for them. And so if you've ever heard a really seasoned dyslexia parent, they tend to be awesome at this, at digging in and learning what, lexiles and percentages and all these different scores mean. And I don't mean to be flip and say, like, well, just go Google it. But if you're not going to ask for help with these reports and these tests, I have a couple of resources on my website, and you can find other resources online. But yes, if you're not going to ask for help for someone to explain this to you and what this test means and what this change from this number to this number means and what that means as far as where they're reading compared to their age or their grade level, if you're not going to ask for something, you're going to have to DIY it. Like there are no shortcuts. I can't just look at a report for you and go, oh, well, that means this and good. I've been an advocate now for 15 years, and sure, I'm familiar with a lot of these different assessments because now I've read hundreds of them. But it wasn't always that way, and there are still times when I get an assessment that I haven't seen in a while or that I don't see too often, and I have to do the same thing for my clients. I have to look it up and go, okay, what does this really mean? There are no shortcuts in advocacy. There's no, I wish there was. And trust me, we have tried this twice with clients, with their permission, because it was their child's information. We were just poking around at the library one day. We copied and pasted segments of their report and put it in AI and said, like, what is, here's some data and blah, blah, blah. What does it tell us? And it was wrong. It was just wrong. It doesn't, like, I don't even like to call it AI because it's LLM. It's learned language models. And when people are using these LLMs, all it's doing is regurgitating information. It's not really thinking. So, and a lot of the information on how to discern these assessments is behind paywalls. So, like, LLMs can't even scrape it to get that information. So, I do not recommend that because more often than not, it's incorrect, and sometimes scarily so. That's not right at all. I've done it with my own son's stuff, and I'm like, that's not correct. But anyway, I know I haven't maybe answered a lot of your questions. If you're like, this is such bullshit, like you told me you were going to help me understand my progress monitoring report, And now I don't know anything more than I knew 9 minutes ago. You do. One is that you do have to ask for help, and they know that you don't know this. So please don't let your pride stand in your way of this knowledge. It can also really open the door for collaboration. The other piece is if you're not going to ask the school for help, you're going to have to DIY it because there are no shortcuts. There's no video I can make that would say, hey, if your progress monitoring report says this, then that means this. And if it says that, it means that. Because there are literally thousands of assessments out there um, that are used for that baseline information. So the baseline information is in your child's IEP present levels section. And then every progress monitoring report should be a comparison to present levels, because again, present levels will have those baselines of where your child started out, and you need to be able to compare it. And there's just genuinely not any kind of video that I can make that would tell you this is what your progress monitoring report means, because I would have to make a separate video for like the whisk and the Wyatt and all these different, the ADOS and all these different assessments that your child gets, and when they do probes and all that, and that's not what advocates do. That's what educational psychologists do and school psychologists, neuropsychs. So I'm sorry if that doesn't feel particularly helpful, but if nothing else, I want you to take a deep breath and go, okay, it's okay that you don't know this. It's okay to say, you know what, this is super confusing. This is not familiar to me yet. Because I guarantee you, little by little, piece by piece, you're going to learn this. And like a couple of years from now, like you're going to be surprised at being able to pick up a report and go, oh, well, wait a minute. That's not meaningful progress. Um, we all start out at the beginning, and we have to become the experts in our kids' conditions and what their assessments are and what the interventions are and things like that, because nobody excuse me, nobody is going to care about your IEP as much as you. They're just not. Okay, that's all I have for today. I will put a bunch of links down there. Please like, please share, please subscribe, and please get my book, Your IEP Playbook, available wherever books are sold. So please enjoy the rest of your day.